Coming up on Main Street, we'll show you how the trend of homegrown foods has taken off in Kentucky. Join us for Homegrown Kentucky Style.
Funding for Main Street was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by viewers like you who support quality programs such as Main Street that appear only on public television.
Hello and welcome to Main Street. I'm Barbara Deeb. On this edition of the program, we're going to take you from the garden to the kitchen and a few places in between as we take a closer look at how the push for homegrown foods is taking root in Kentucky. Turner Valley Produce in Russellville, Kentucky is a business centered around food that is locally grown with a care and devotion that means quality. It's a third-generation farm that's always been filled with love of family and the land. Financial setbacks have challenged the Turners to make their small farm into a thriving business that is a true labor of love, reaching their community's dinner table. Jackson's Orchard is another family business that for years has been the center for locally grown fruits and vegetables. With perfect weather comes a bumper crop of apples and peaches and the hard work that comes with being a farmer. 3 generations of Jacksons work to make the orchard a welcoming place for customers to see where their food comes from and to experience the joy of a summer day on the farm. The East End Community Garden in Henderson, Kentucky is a hub of neighborhood activity. Neighbors come together to sow a few seeds and reap the reward of fresh fruits and vegetables and a true sense of community that's grown as the little plots have flourished over the summer. Home Café Marketplace in Bowling Green, Kentucky is a showcase for how locally grown products can be used tastefully in terrific recipes. Chefs Joshua and Chelsea Poling have taken the best Kentucky has to offer and made it the heart of their restaurant. From the farm to the kitchen, the Polings make an effort to let their customers savor the flavors that can only come from homegrown food. We're totally homegrown on this edition of Main Street.
We are produce farmers, meaning we grow a lot of variety of vegetables and fruits. We have about 15 acres in production this year. They know that it was either picked late the night before or early that morning. They know it hasn't been in a truck shipped from Florida on up or something like that, that they're going to get a garden fresh tomato, squash, cucumber, green beans, whatever it may be. My granddad would probably say that we've taken it to the extreme. They always had a big garden, but nothing like this. My grandparents didn't age too well. They needed extended care in their later in life, and so we had to sell a little bit of land.
And I know that it would hurt them to know that a lot of the land went for their health care. My parents got that land in 1936. I think it's kind of a landmark, so it's so close to town. The big house was built in 1813, so it's 200 years old this year. When Clay was finishing his college agriculture degree, he was looking for something to do in a small amount of space. He decided that produce was the best way he could use the land. Up until this year, I've wondered if we could sustain it. But we have had such a good year this year that I believe it is sustainable. They would be so proud that he's growing things that they all are, that the land is being used for something like that. We go to Russellville 2 afternoons a week, so we have to get everything ready for that for markets. One at the extension office and one downtown that Clay's head of.
We get up around 5:36, go out and start picking.
Lindsay will spend several hours a day on a 1940s model International Harvester tractor. When she's on it, she's single focused. She just looks where she's going so she doesn't run over the plants. Try to have everything picked by 9 or 9:30 so we can get it ready to go.
It takes about an hour to an hour 15 to get everything cleaned. And then also in that time we're setting up the stand at the road. We used to have someone sit down there in the afternoons after we got everything picked, but we found out at the end of last year and this year we just have too much field work to do, and so our stand is on the honor system. We have a set of scales down there and a box you can drop your money in, and so far it's worked out pretty well.
Then we go to market, we load up the trucks and van and then get things there, get it out, then sell for 4 hours and hope we don't bring much home.
Their expectation is that they're going to get something that was picked fresh that morning or late the night before. They know that they're going to get a top quality product. People also know that everything is cleaned before it comes, and that there will be no spray residue of any kind on the produce.
I think that's the selling point of it, that people know where their food comes from. And they need to trust you, that you actually grew it, and we use very few chemicals.
We don't spray any herbicides, which is your Roundup and your generic of that. We believe it's more harmful to the plant and the produce.
We don't want people to have that on their produce. We want people to be able to say, well, I'm eating organic, or maybe not strictly organic, but close to it. And that, you know, they come to our table and say, oh, it looks so good, I can tell it's homegrown. You know, that makes us feel good.
We would like to stay about the 15 to 20 acre mark on produce. We like the quality over quantity. We think if we get too big, we'll lose the quality aspect. I think you have to take pride in what you do, especially with being produce. You have to say, yes, this is mine, this is my product. I'm very proud of it. I think it's something that's instilled in you. I mean, growing up on a farm, I follow my granddad around just about every day.
Clay's just like his grandfather. Still talks about it. What Pa would think of this today, you know, he'd say, but what we're doing. He grew up on a farm, you know, never knew anything else, and they were really close, and he spent a lot of time with his grandfather.
Clay said from the beginning that I'll be here all my life.
There's just something about it that says, I think I can make a living here. I can tell you just about where every bump is in every field and what's been grown there.
I mean, this is home. I mean, I grew up in Nashville, but this is home. And I want to continue this because this is where my kids want to be and what they want to do.
Family is just so important to us.
We're a produce family feeding your family. We take great pride in what we do, that what we're growing is feeding other families in the county. They're helping us keep the farm going, and we're helping them, providing them a service of fresh local food.
I never in my wildest dream thought I would be in the orchard business. I worked on an orchard when I was in high school in Southern Illinois, but never dreamed of owning one or running one or what we have here. And from where we started to where we are now, had no idea of that or what we were going to wind up doing. It's just a a work in progress. Now we have 2 grandsons, and they're here full time. And I am trying to teach them what I've learned over 47 years and in a hurry-up education program.
I started 6, 7, 8 years old selling, going to farmer's market with my other grandfather, selling peaches out of the back of a truck. And then it's all just kind of rolled uphill from there. I've heard him say multiple times, if it was easy, everybody'd do it. I like working. I really enjoy working. I'm not much up for sitting on the couch and watching TV. The work still has to be done. It doesn't do itself.
It's hard work. These grandsons are learning that. But the rewards are there. The risks are there, but the rewards are there. We have always tried to push that. Homegrown was better. It has kind of caught on of late as the cost of freight has gone so high with all the trucks up and down the road and putting $4 fuel in that. The idea of buying locally, homegrown, has caught on and is more popular now with the public than it ever has been. We grow all of our apples and peaches. We buy tomatoes and vegetables from other Kentucky growers, but it is all Kentucky grown.
I hope we're moving away from the mindset that I can get whatever I want, whenever I want at the grocery store. I can go get a peach in December at the grocery store. That's fine, but I think it's extremely important for us, and especially our young children, to understand where food comes from.
We're trying to make this a family friendly farm where Dad and Mom and all the kids will come and all of them will have a good time. We have customers that come in the spring for flowers, and then some of those we don't see again. We have some of them that come back in peach season. We have an awfully lot of peach customers that have been with us for 45, 6, 7, 8 years. The peach customers are really loyal. And then apples, you get another kind of set of customers. So every season, every fruit has its following. We hope that we have provided a service to this community. We hope the fresh fruit, peaches that can't be matched, they just can't. He picks them tree ripe every day. They're juicy ripe. The riper they get on the tree, the better juice they have, the better flavor they have.
We care about the customers. We care about the health of those customers. And at no point is that going to change.
So we hope that we're providing a very healthful service to the South Central Kentucky, and we're glad to be a part of that.
We couldn't do this now, what they have done. It's inspirational. I want to be a part of this. I want to keep this going. I want to continue to make Jackson's Orchard as great as it can be. Myself, my brother, and my aunt in particular, with his guidance, we can do it.
I'll never retire. I don't want to. I want to turn it over to these 2 guys and step aside and watch them. I'm probably going to have to watch them make some mistakes, but that's the way they'll learn. But I hope the future is very bright. I hope we'll be here for a long time, Jackson's Orchard.
Well, what I like about this garden is about gardening. All we had to do is just dig holes to put the plants in, then put the plants in, and then we just cover up all the dirt so the plants can grow.
Oh, it's very happy. It feeds my soul. That's what I keep saying. It's good for everybody, I think, for the community, for the kids. I'm in it. That's where my biggest passion comes from. That's what made being a mother again in my 30s made me realize that I was feeding a mouth, and it was very important to feed that mouth the right way and do things a little differently. So it's so easy to grow your own once you just kind of get yourself established to where you need. And this was, you just can't go wrong here. You know, it makes a lot of people happy.
There was a group in Henderson called Engage that started having visioning sessions in the neighborhood. And they were talking about what could they do to change the dynamics in the neighborhood. This neighborhood is a low-income, poverty-stricken area. It's got a lot of dilapidated homes in it. It's probably 70% rental, 30% home ownership. And so they wanted to start talking about what could you do in the neighborhood to make a difference. I just happened to think that a community garden, and I had never done a community garden, might be something that's simple and easy to do. And we had a vacant lot that hadn't been doing anything for 10 years, right in the middle of the neighborhood that they wanted to work in. So my husband and I started thinking about, well, what could we do? And it took us about a year to really get motivated. And so we came in, cleaned it off. We started talking to people in the community about the idea of a community garden. And we were amazed, but we had a lot of people come forward that wanted to help.
This is for everyone, and that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. It's about doing something to give back to your community that you have lived in for 30 or 40 years, and hey, it can be done. And that's the thing.
So the front section of the garden is what we call community access, and we have volunteers who've come in and helped plant it, and it is for anyone in the neighborhood who doesn't have a designated box to come in and pick and enjoy it. One of the things that's been wonderful is the children that come by, because some of them have never seen a garden grow. So they've seen it from the beginning to the end. And we like to show them what the food looks like, tell them they can take something home. I mean, we've given cucumbers away to children and they think they've been given a Christmas present.
Well, I put the seed in, then I covered it with dirt, and then I watered it.
What was it like to watch all that stuff grow?
It was pretty cool.
It was. Why was it cool?
Because when you get to plant stuff, you don't have to buy anything, you can just pick stuff. Well, people like to plant stuff, they like to grow stuff, and they like to share some plants with other people.
The back section of the garden, and there's 17 beds there, are what we call designated beds. And those beds are actually taken by individuals in the community, and they can plant whatever they want, and they can take from that and enjoy it with their family. Or they can give it away. They can do however they'd like to handle their own gardens. So we have some that planted only beans, and some that have planted beans and corn and squash. Some have planted only tomatoes. And then there's lots of boxes in between. It's interesting because each box looks very different, and you can tell that each person is doing something a little different. But the neighbors, at first we heard in the community, well, you'll never get anyone in that neighborhood to participate because it's a lot of work to grow a garden. And I knew that going into it and thought, well, that's a possibility. If that was the case, we would just turn it all into community access beds. But it wasn't. As a matter of fact, we had a waiting list within 2 weeks of getting the boxes up and ready. So people wanted to participate. They wanted to grow their own food. But once people kind of got the idea of growing fresh fruits and vegetables, however you design the garden, it was really amazing, the interest that we've gotten in the community and outside of the community. Well, fresh food is important. When you start talking about a lot of the issues that are going on in our country right now, we start talking about the rising cost of health care. You start talking about obesity. You start talking about any number of issues that we know if we don't tackle today, they are going to overrun our country in 30 years. a lot of it comes right back to food.
Well, everybody has the right to fresh food. Everybody. You know, I don't care who you are. You should be able to grow or pick or buy or, you know, be given fresh local food. I don't want to eat everything from Guatemala. Or, you know, if I want to go to Honduras, then I'll eat in Honduras. But I would prefer to eat what's from Kentucky.
What do the vegetables do for you?
They make you big and strong like the Hulk.
Home Cafe is a full-service, fast casual dining concept with a focus on farm-to-table cuisine. We really wanted to focus on high-quality ingredients in a more casual setting. I have a Bachelor's of the Arts in Political Science from Miami of Ohio, which is actually a really good school and a really good poli-sci department. And I worked at a couple of law firms, and I was just like, I cannot do this. Like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I guess it's one of those moments where everybody goes through it. You've got to sit down and ask yourself what you want to do for the rest of your life. And for some crazy reason, I wanted to have a restaurant. I like being around people, I like this atmosphere, and I like the energy of restaurants. So I went that route. It's very important for me. I tell everyone, it's very important not only for me to open this restaurant, but for me to open this restaurant in my hometown, because I grew up in Bowling Green. My wife owns Home Cafe with me, and we often tell people we've never done anything harder than opening a restaurant. I tell everybody, we got the keys to the restaurant, we train for a day, and the next day we open. And it's restaurant nightmares. It's what everybody says definitely don't do, but we did it, and we're lucky that we did it very well. We were hopeful that maybe we would have 20 to 25 people, and we had like 150 people through the door on the first day. And even through our third day of service, we actually just ran out of food in the restaurant because we were so busy. I love the chaos of it, and I love all the energy and people moving tables from the back to the front and all of that. I love that, and that to me, that's what home was always about, and that's what mealtime was about with my family. And Chelsea and I spend about 100 hours a week here, so it's home for us. When we first opened, I would say probably 50% of people came in and just like back to the wall, like against the back door, and like shook their head and walked out. And so I tell everybody that was the beginning. About 50% of the customers we would just lose because there were a lot of words on the menu that they didn't recognize, and they didn't want to take the time to ask us what they were and how we did things. But then as people started eating the food, slowly became 20% and then 10%. And I tell everybody, then one night we cooked a hamburger and nobody walked out ever again. It's the focus on the ingredients, definitely, and it's that we try to have every dish tell a story. When you get the margarita pizza here, the base ingredients are pretty much the same as margarita pizzas all across town, but my tomatoes come from Nathan Howlett and Needmore Acres Farm. You can go out to his farm on Cemetery Road, and if you come on the right day, those tomatoes were picked that morning, came off the vine, and came and put on the pizza. If you buy tomatoes just from a national supplier, what's happening is those are grown in Mexico. They're picked off the vine when they're green, and they're brought in on a truck, and then they're taken to a big factory, and they're gassed, so they turn red. The tomatoes never ripen, they just turn red because of this gas we introduced to them. For me, I buy a tomato that's ripe on the vine. Same's the case with watermelons, really in any produce. And so it's a selfish reason for me, because I want the best product possible hitting the table. And then outside of the chef perspective, it's a human perspective. It means a lot to me that my restaurant supports families, and I know these families and I'm friends with them, and I'm helping their family grow and I'm helping their kids grow. It's more important to just focus on these relationships and support the local economy. You've got farmers here that are growing their tomatoes on 1.5 acres of land and coming to the farmer's market. When you buy tomatoes from Mexico, you're buying these tomatoes that are growing on hundreds of acres. Their laborers aren't paid right wages, and so it really just helps bolster the local economy. For me, it's fun and it's about that personal connection. And I love, there's a big saying with farmers, shake the hand that feeds you. And I love having them at my restaurant. Even while you guys were setting up, my tomato guy was here, and it's so neat for me to get to say, this is the guy that grows my food, and you can go to his farm that's 3 miles from here. Another big reward of the restaurant has been people drawing the connection between the farmers we use and then them going to the farmers market and buying from those farmers because they know that's who we use. And so that's always really neat to see. The ultimate goal for us is always 100% local. I mean, that's what we work towards all the time. It's really finding a way to commit ourselves 100% local ingredients. And you know, Chelsea and I are always pushing ourselves as chefs, and so we spend a lot of time in Nashville. We're going to Chicago soon. We're going to Texas for a month in January, just because we like to explore different cities, different cuisines, and that way home's always changing.
Well, we've come to the end of our journey. We hope you've enjoyed a taste of our homegrown stories. With a trip to Turner Valley Produce, where family and farming have come together in the high-quality produce they sell. Jackson's Orchard has 3 generations of Jacksons bringing their talents to a place where the peaches are sweet and memories are made. The East End Community Garden in Henderson is teaching a new generation the joys of gardening and bringing a neighborhood together in a whole new way. And finally, chefs Chelsea and Joshua Poling are bringing the taste of homegrown foods into their savory recipes at Home Café Marketplace in Bowling Green. We'd love to hear from you. We welcome any questions, comments, or story ideas. Write to us at the address on your screen. Until next time, I'm Barbara Deeb, and remember, we're just around the corner on Main Street.